We'll give it just a couple more minutes. There's still people logging in. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I think there's 80 people in here. This is a little new. We haven't done a virtual training before. It's even a little weird for me to do this rather than in person. Thankfully, HR and our senior leaders agreed to let us do a virtual training. I know in the past we've always just done in person. We did like 5 last year in 7 days. So this year we at least give an option for some people that couldn't attend last weekend. So, all right, let me click on this and get going. All right, so 2025 Suites training. Meet the team. You have Brian in the middle. Actually, hold on one second. This is the wrong one. Hold on one second. All right, let's try this again. So meet the team. You have Brian, our senior manager, in the middle. I think he's on the call. I know a lot of us have been busy these last couple of weeks trying to get everything set up for the upcoming season. You have Raymond, who is our operations manager, and then you have me, who is the strategic operations slash staffing manager. Next, you have Sarah in the middle as our admin staffing coordinator, and then you have Essence, our operation coordinator, and then you have Donna, who is our lead beverage supervisor. All right, so I'm going to get in the middle of this. It's going to take a little bit of time to get started. There's some beginning pieces of it that's a little slow to begin with, but then we'll pick back up. Normally, we introduce ourselves in front of everyone, tell us a little bit of fun fact about ourselves or something we were vulnerable about. We're going to change it a little bit just because not everyone's on the call. It's just me running the whole thing. So, but I will just give you my side of it. So my name is Aaron Gonzalez. I'm a suites manager. I'm from West Virginia. I grew up on a farm, and then a vulnerable piece about me is that I like rom-coms, and that's the joke that I told everybody, but it's a true thing. So the other thing is I suffer from anxiety, and I like to tell everybody that because sending an email to 400 of you is not very fun. Because if I have one typo, it is awful because all of you send me an email that says that you misspelled Wednesday or whatever it is. But um, there's also in the chat, should be a link from Sarah. This is a kind of follow through quiz for you all. Just because the changes on there, there's some very detailed pieces. So I just want you to be able to fill it out just so you can see exactly what we're changing. So we have our phone numbers here. You have Brian, Raymond's, and then mine. There's a 304 number that a lot of you might have. That is my personal number. So if you have that, please remove that. This is now my work number that I am purchasing and adding to my own account. So just use this phone to contact me, and I'll go over those details and a little bit of why. Also, Monday through Friday. Please keep it Monday through Friday for us. Which someone's already raising a hand. I don't know if that's on accident. Probably. Okay. Monday through Friday, please keep it Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. To 5 p.m. The reason being we have lives also outside of here, just like you guys do. So please respect that and keep it in that time frame. WhatsApp. If you're on your phone watching this, you probably can't scan this. We want and require all of you to be on the WhatsApp. The reason being for that is that's how we send out communication during the game or polls during the week. I'm getting a bunch of emails. Some people say that the link isn't working, but I see there's a bunch of you in here. So they might just have to get the recording. Afterwards, I'm going to send this out to everyone and you'll be able to look at it on your computer and then scan it. And then also we send a link out on every scheduling email. All right, so real talk. Brian did his piece when we were in person about some things. I'm gonna do mine, and we did it. I did mine in person as well. So there's gonna be some changes that come from this department that are brand new, and there's some changes that are gonna be sweeping changes that are not normal. Um, we're changing some of it because we know it makes sense to our operation. And what am I saying about that is there's a term that's middle management, and there's a level of management, which is where we are located. And so middle management is the bridge, the gap between upper management and then the frontline workers, which you guys are the frontline workers. You guys deal with the clients firsthand. You guys are serving people, running food. And then you have managers that I'm responsible for you. Brian's responsible for you. So is Raymond. But then we have upper management and the stadium that we have to follow rules. So being in the middle, we have to bridge that gap to listen to you all, to get feedback, understand where your frustrations are, where you're happy about. Like we have to deal with all that, but we also have to deal with what our leaders expect us to do. And sometimes it comes from the company with policies, sometimes it comes from the stadium with rules. So sometimes there's no wiggle room, but we try to accommodate you in certain ways. So that's my little teaching moment of what middle management is. So maybe you have a better understanding of why we do certain things. So the training message for this year, we're gonna do something a little different. Usually we do hands-on and show you things in tablets, but we're gonna get away from that this year. We're gonna go over the why. Um, it's important for everyone to always know the why. It could be your own personal why, could be the reason why a company runs. So could be why the policies are in place. So understanding the why is something that I actually always live off of. I've had a wristband on my wrist for 8 years now. It says remember your why. So it's a lot of personal, deep moments for me of why I'm at the place that I'm at and how I got here. So why did we choose the why? Transparency. We feel it is important for you to understand us as managers and as a department and as an organization. Based on the feedback from your peers throughout the year, we do things that don't make sense or seems unfair. Learning how we operate can also help answer questions you may have without asking them on game day or emailing us or contacting us throughout the week. And then throughout this training, we'll go through a list of pieces of our operation to help you better understand what goes on and why it is that way. Also, feel free to raise your hand throughout this. We do have some Q&A moments after each section. If something pops up, I'll try to select you. It's easier in person, but I'll try to select you. And then you can either type it or I can actually turn your mic on if you would like. All right, so who to contact. And presentation won't have animations to it just because it's on Teams, but normal presentation it would. Schedule related issues. Who and how to contact. So you'll contact me on any schedule related issues via email. Why my email? I check my email all throughout the day and when I'm working, and I'll circle back to items in a timely manner. The reason why I circle back in a timely manner, I might have the day off. Our days worked at the stadium vary depending on the event. Just if it's a Saturday, Sunday, Friday, whatever day of the week it is, it kind of rotates us around. Other manager schedules, Brian and Raymond might have something coming up that it rotates us around. And then PTO requests, we also go on vacation. So if I'm out, my email will kick it to the right person. You'll see that I'm not available rather than sending me multiple in a row or trying to try to call me. When on PTO, Brian and Sarah will have access to my email via my work phone that I talked about. So if it's still something needed, somebody will always see the message. Although it may not seem like it, we do have meetings and projects and other responsibilities throughout the week. It's not just an event day for us. We see most of you just on event day. You might think we just show up and we're there, but we are doing stuff all throughout the week because we have our senior leaders that meet with us and do stuff. We have compliance things, we have sanitation things, health department. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on throughout the week. And if it's over a phone call, which I tell everyone on game day, we always have done this. Always email it to us. The reason being on phone call, we could be in the wrong place to write it down, to remember to fix any issues, may not remember all the details. So sending us an email is the best way for us to look into stuff. Event day arrival related issues. Same thing's going to be me. So on game day, please contact my work phone. No matter what, it'll be me or Sarah will have my phone. Whoever's running check-in will have it there. So if you're running late, the bus is broken down, whatever it is, please just use this number on here to contact us. Why my work phone? I just said it. It'll be at check-in, so we'll be able to see incoming communication. Why can't we email on event day? Emailing is limited on event day, as we're not around our computers. I mean, yeah, we can get it on our phones, but between all the supervisor chats and people coming in, between our senior leaders, like we have a lot of information coming around. So please do not use email to try to contact us if anything's going on game day. I always say a joke about this. We after the game, we'll have people that literally will tell us, they'll be emailing us asking about chicken tenders that they're missing or something from their suites. And it's like, well, I hope they got it because like we didn't see it. What happens if you contact Brian or Raymond? What happens if you contact Aaron's personal phone or email? That communication will not be relayed and could result in penalty. So example, if you're running late and you're a suite attendant and you text Brian that you're running late, Brian's not going to relay that information to us anymore. Neither is Raymond. Neither is an email, neither is Sarah on WhatsApp, neither like not even me on WhatsApp. Only my work phone is where you can relay this information from. Hours or gratuity issues. Who to contact? Me again. As you guys have realized, I am the staffing manager. Looks like some people, I guess the link may not be working, not really for sure. There's a bunch of it in here, so. Who to contact me, how to contact me, would just be email only when it comes to hours and gratuity issues. Why my email? Some issues need to be investigated first. Could be an error on the app, isn't showing correct info, an error involving another property, a change from the client, or a mistake on our end. The investigation piece, example, we had somebody that there was a gratuity mess up between a client, that we had to take and contact the client. We had to talk to the suite attendant. We had to talk to our accounting manager. It took 32 days for that gratuity to be adjusted. So calling us like it's not going to get it done as fast. We have to look into it before we respond. I'm going to pause for 2 seconds to see if there's an error of why people aren't getting in here. There's 91 of you, but there's still some people that are not in here. I'm not really for sure. All right, beverage issues. Who to contact? Donna. How to contact Donna for this type of issue? You'll call this number. That's her line. That's not like a work phone. That's actually her personal phone. Why do you contact Donna? Donna is responsible for the beverage setup team throughout the week. She is tasked with making sure all items are placed in the correct location. She holds all previous event pink sheets in a binder. Arrival time changes. We are combining some position arrival times. Supervisors, including premium warehouse and dessert cart supervisors, and P cords will share arrival times and meet in goal line east to pick up your binders and go over the manager notes. Suite attendants, club attendants, and runners. We did this last year. No change this year. You're all going to share arrival times. You'll do that. You'll go to suites check-in on the third floor. Dessert cart team, you'll arrive at your designated time. That won't change. You're still going to help out with premium warehouse for the first hour. When does my shift start? This question came up towards the end of the year. We had the unfortunate incidents that happened in New Orleans, and so the last game of the year, they tightened security and it created a bottleneck where everybody I think there was only one line, so it got backed up very heavily. We can't control that, but all positions, when you get your credentials at your position schedule time, that's when you're approved to clock in. Your shift does not start when you're in line or in the parking lot. Yes, that's a legitimate thing. I had people that would say, I'm in the parking lot. Can you clock me in? Or I'm on the bus. We can't do that. We have no control over security lines, just like I talked about. That incident that happened, there's just nothing we can do about the stadium controlling that. I was raised in a military family. I was raised that you should be an hour late rather than you should be around an hour early than 5 minutes late. So I always live by that. I'm going to continue to follow that. Some of you might want to adapt some of that because there was a consistent thing of people being 20 and 30 minutes late. We will not adjust times back for being late or issues with security lines. People would ask us to roll their time back after they got through the line. When you get through the line and get your credential, that's when your shift starts. New clock out procedure. After each event, all positions will go to the Levy offices. The suite attendant check-in or checkout, that's across from 429B. There'll be a long line there, but everybody is going to go through that to let us know that you clocked out. At this area, you will clock out after you drop off your positions folder or binder. It does not mean after you drop it off, you can go talk with another person in another suite. Does not mean you can try to walk to the edge of the property. Doesn't mean you try to get on the bus and clock out. You are to clock out as soon as you drop off your binder. Any issues with that? We're going to crack down on corrective actions this year, so just make sure you follow this rule. This includes runners. Runners will simply clock out. They don't have a folder or anything, but they'll come upstairs. They'll let us know I'm clocking out, and then you're good to go home. If you have any technical related issues, this is where you will notify management about the issue. We will assist with any issues. This has happened in the past where you've come from another property and there was an issue because some of you guys work at multiple properties. There was an issue with scheduling just based off of what you were scheduled over there and then what you're scheduled here. Our system doesn't allow you to overlap. So if there's ever an issue with you clocking in and out, please just let us know. We'll try to figure out how to put you on the schedule correctly. Also, other properties have the ability to remove you from our schedule. So if there's a conflict, that could be the issue. If using the Compass Time app and it says out of range, your next step is to use the QR code to clock out. often everybody was saying, or often people would say that out of range, I'm at the edge of the property, or I heard people would be walking around trying to find a pantry for it to work because I guess sometimes the zone says it works in this one. The out of range would come up as you tried it. Um, so next would be using the QR code. In a second, I'll show you how you get a QR code. When does my shift end? Suite attendant, club attendants, it's when you turn in your blue folder. Supervisors, it's when you turn in your paperwork and green binder. P cords is when you turn in your paperwork and your red binder. And then runners, when you're dismissed from your pantries by the supervisors and you let management know you clocked out at Levy checkout across from 429B. And I say dismissed for the runners because you are not to drop off at Queen Mary and think that you're completely done. You are to make sure your supervisor says you are good to go home before you leave and clock out. Time clock related issues. Who to contact? Sarah. How do I contact Sarah? Email only, and this is her email address. I typically tag her in all emails. I usually do it for most of our team. So if you need to get in contact with her about any time clock related issues, please call her or email her. Why her email? It's just so we have a documented email for one, and it ensures that your time card will be corrected. After the dust settles on event day or the next day after the event, Sarah goes through and adjusts all the time clock punches. So here's another piece. If you're on a computer, you can scan this right now. Sarah just made 85 of these, I think, yesterday. So if you need one, this is the wallet size QR code. Please fill this out. Again, I'm sending this out afterwards. So if you need to use it afterwards, because it'll be a PDF, then you can scan it there. Speaking of time clock punches, there is a phrase that we are going to eliminate this year, and it's I forgot. Far too often people would say, I forgot to clock in. I forgot to start my meal break. I forgot to end my meal break. And then I forgot to clock out. No longer can we allow this to happen. We were about averaging about 42, 45 a game or something like that of I forgots. And we just can't do that anymore. That's 45 punches that we have to change. Normally what I would do in person, it was let's play a quick game, and I would ask everybody raise your hand and keep your hands raised if you forgot to clock in, if you forgot to take meal break, you forgot to clock out, if you were late, if you got to call off on game day. Both times everybody had their hands up. And then I would say, leave your hand up if we wrote you up, and nobody's hands were up. What we're explaining is that we were really light on you last year and that we didn't write up one single person for any of these I forgots. But that's going to be no more. We'll start this new season by holding you accountable for missing time punches with corrective actions. We found out from the Las Vegas Raiders that they actually have two check-in lines. One is for you to get your folder or your location, and then the other one is for write-ups. We don't want to do that, but that's the next step. What do I do if I didn't clock in or end my meal break correctly? So you're still going to clock in correctly on the app or using the QR code, and then you're still going to email Sarah. You're still going to get a corrective action. So don't just because you missed the first clock in think you're not going to clock in the rest of the way. You still have to do it. You're still going to get a corrective action. Why is everyone so strict with punching in and out? Again, this is part of the why. This isn't us. This isn't Brian. This isn't me. This isn't Sweets. This is literally a corporate policy. We get a document every week on every single missed punch. We get a percentage based on our departments, and it's not just Sweets, it's clubs, it's catering, it's concessions, IT. Everybody gets a report card on this. So it comes from corporate, and that's why we're so strict on it. This is the most accurate form of you controlling your time clock and hours as well. Far too often, somebody would say, they might be in zone 6 and be like, hey, can you clock me out at 11? I forgot. But then the last person that left their zone was 10 o'clock. So that's time fraud. Like you're actually stealing from us. So don't do that. Just use your QR code, use your ESS app, and do it correctly. That way nobody gets in trouble. Common questions. What if the app isn't working? Sometimes the app doesn't work. Sometimes it's out of range. Your next step on that is using a QR code, the wallet QR code. What if I wasn't scheduled? I talked about if you came from another property, if you're borrowed, like we understand you're working over at Spectrum or Truist in the morning and you're coming over here. Sometimes there's errors on our end. We're scheduling 250 of you. Sometimes it's easy to miss one name, so we'll add you to it. What if I'm running late? Do I still need to take a meal break? Yes, this was a question asked all the time. If you're running late and you somehow are in a suite or you're a runner, like, yes, you still have to take your meal break. You don't get to skip out on that. Any questions of what I just went over? And I think you can raise your hand and then I can unmute your mic or you can put it in the chat, either one. Oh, can you accept others? No, that was just an automatic, but I think Jenny, you're in here now. It's just an automatic. There's no accepting, I don't think. Laverne, let me see if I can. All right, go ahead, Laverne. What's your question? I think you have to unmute your mic because I allowed you to speak.
What if we are the ones that's helping another suite attendant with their tablet, and it's past our lunch? It was really important for that to happen. Or you guys gave us an email for us to input some type of order, and it's during our lunch, and we forgot to clock back in. What are we going to do about that?
Well, you shouldn't be working on your lunch break.
Well, things happen.
Well, that shouldn't happen because if you're on your lunch break, you shouldn't actually be working. And you'll see a new system this year of how we're doing it. We're actually going to have a scheduled 30-minute break for all areas. So we'll go over that. Now, if it's an extreme case like that, reach out to us, let us know. It's more of the people that would go 3 hours and say, I totally forgot. If it's 45 minutes, like let us know. But if it's 2 hours, that's a different problem.
No, it shouldn't be no 2 hours. That's like maybe 25 minutes or 20 minutes. We forgot to clock back in because you was handling something like crucial at that
Yeah.
time.
Well, again, you'll see in a little bit. It's
Okay.
literally your entire floor is going to have the same 30-minute meal break. Everybody will take a break at the same time. But that is a
Okay.
good question. I understand what you're saying. But you'll see in the upcoming slides of what will change.
Okay.
Anyone else have a question? All right, cool. All right, so building my schedule. It's just a funny joke of me trying to explain it because there's a lot that goes into it. When you got a schedule in place, 250 of you, it's a lot of work. So I'm going to go over why and how I do it just to give you guys a reason behind it all. Let me click on the chat so I can make sure no one's asked anything. Wait. All right, so who dictates what suites are open and closed? I'm gonna go over that literally in the next couple of slides. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so TSE partnership agreement. Levy Restaurants is a company that is contracted by the partner/TSE. You'll see TSE on a bunch of shirts. That's Tepper Sports Entertainment. So we're contracted by them. Levy doesn't own the building. Some of the veterans that have been here a long time have actually seen 3, 4 different companies come through. TSE provides a document called an open close, which is someone's asking, like, how do we know what suites are open and closed? There's an actual document called the open close list. It's provided to us after a suite client purchases their tickets. They might tell us that they're coming, but until they purchase it, they don't unlock it. Our contract with the partner requires us to have a one attendant for each suite open. We call this 1-to-1. So every game, no matter what, close in or close out for suite attendance is at 4:01. At 4:02, I get a text message from our leaders. All they ask me is one-to-one question mark. It's not how was your day? It's not do you want a coffee? It's literally one-to-one question mark. I say yes, they don't respond. I say no, they go, what went wrong? So it is a requirement and a very crucial piece to our contract to have one suite attendant per suite that is listed open on the open close list. The policies on our contract force us to follow guidelines without any wiggle room. Um, it's been a problem in the past, and we know that sometimes suites just don't show, but if it's listed open, we have to. It's literally part of our contract. Home versus borrowed. There are a lot of borrowed employees on this call right now, and we are happy that you're part of our team, but we have to go over the difference of that. So Bank of America Stadium has a policy that we must schedule our own employees first before scheduling a borrowed employee. This is excluding long-term suite attendants. If you have a long-term suite that you've been connected to, you are allowed to be scheduled first. The rest of you, you have to wait in line, and I'll go over that next step. In the past, this policy was not enforced, but that changed during the 2024 season from our senior leadership. This didn't change from Lori. This didn't change from Brian. It didn't change from me. This actually came from the VP of our company. They actually looked into it and said that we have to take care of our own first. Bar employees have to figure out a different pipeline to get in, and I'll show you how that works. This is position based. You'll probably see runners get scheduled more. Runners, we've had a lesser amount of employees. Supervisors, we might have more of home property. So like it depends on your position of how you'll get scheduled. And then it's what is needed to be fully staffed. As most of you have seen, an NFL game, pretty much everybody gets scheduled just because we had 350 on our roster last year. We have 275 or so slots that we have to fill. So pretty much everybody's scheduled. All right, so the open close list. This is what an open close list looks like. Normally we would ask you, what do you see? What do you not see? And people would call stuff out. I don't want everybody raising their hands. I mean, you can type it in the chat if you want, but I'm just going to go over it. So the suite number is listed, the suite size, the suite type, so single games and long terms, company name or the client name that's in there, suites sold, and then suite available, lock, unlock, and then no catering needed. So this is what gets changed throughout the week, and actually on game day it can still change. You can see that all the white rows, those are unlocked suites, so I have to put somebody in there. All the red ones are locked ones, so I don't put anybody in there. You can see the MT. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. You can see the MT right here. That's actually Mike Tillman, one of our partners, editing this document in live motion when I screenshot this. So I can't edit this document. It's only them. So I have to go off of them secondhand. You can see there's no catering needed. We actually worked out a pretty good deal to break away from the one-to-one a little bit, that if the client that's in there says they're not going to be ordering food, maybe they're just listing it as like viewing purposes only. So if they do that, they actually are giving us the ability to not put anybody in there. So if you see on sign-in sheets, suite attendants, supervisors, you would see no suite attendant or no attendant. That's because of this document would say no catering needed. I don't want to waste any suite attendants' time to go in there and not make any money. That's just unfair to you. So we did this for MLS and NFL last year. It was something that I worked on at the beginning of the year, got it pretty well buttoned up. So we're going to continue that communication with the partner. Anytime that there's nothing there, I won't place anybody in there. But that's not to say that one of these that doesn't say anything at all, like Summit, for example, they're listed as open, but if they show up and don't order anything, I can't control that. Or if they purchase the tickets and don't show up, I can't control that either. And neither can the partner. Now, what do you not see? You can't see if there's an order. You can't see if there's alcohol. You can't see if there's a gratuity. You can't see any of that information. I never look at that information. There's a document called a master tracker that Lori used to edit and now Brian edits. Both of them have asked me to edit that document and create it, and I refuse to do it. I don't want to do that because I don't want any sort of unfairness, and this is the best way to keep everything fair. There will be some changes that will change around on how we're placed, but we'll go over that in a little bit. So the next piece, this is Airtable. No, Brian, I will not do the master tracker this year. So on Airtable, this is my scheduling system that I use. You can see that has location, company name. There's a team member name in there. Confirmation is that you confirmed you're working. Present means that Sarah or myself scheduled you on my staff. You can see at 303A, there's a no attendant, which mirrors right here, no catering needed, no attendant. So I make sure I don't put anybody in there just because I don't want to place anyone there. There's a late arrival on here. Went over it the other day. I think Tina is a teacher, I believe. She had to be late for this game. So if you let me know in advance, there's some wiggle room with it. Day of, there is no wiggle room with it. What do you see? Went over it. What do you not see? Again, you don't see anything when it comes to orders. You don't see any gratuities. You don't see anything that relates to money. You can't see if there's alcohol in there. I literally cannot see any of that, and I never will. Questions about anything that I just went over? All right, cool. Moving on. All right. Wait, somebody just did. All right, go ahead. You have to click on mute on your mic, but you should be able to talk now.
For someone who's new, would you pair them up with someone or?
So if you're new and in training, you'll go through 1 to 2 days of training with one of our veterans at your position. Runners typically don't have training days. Suite attendants, club attendants, you'll be matched with somebody. Supervisors and P cords, they have a couple shifts they'll do as well. So you won't just be thrown out in the trenches as a new person. You will actually get some hands-on training. All right, new scheduling format. This is where things are going to get really confusing. There's a lot of things that are about to change. So I'm not going to ask everybody to say yes or no, but everyone's seen pick a card magic trick. You walk up, somebody has pick a card, you pick it, might be a king, might be a two. We don't know what the king is doing today. We don't know what the two is doing today. Have you ever purchased a ticket to go to an event? So we have like 74,000 seats in the stadium. The first 74,000 people that buy tickets get to go to the stadium. Yes, the Panthers don't sell out games very often, but the first 74, if it was to be that way, would get in. If you were 74,001, you wouldn't get into the building. You wouldn't get there to the event. 1-2 mentality. This is important to me is you want to be good. You want to be better. You want to every day get better and be in the building. You want to make money for your family. It's a want to. You guys see me, you guys hear me talk about it. I work out all the time. It's a want to. I get up every morning at 6 o'clock and work out. Doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever. Every day I get up at 6 o'clock. That's just a want to mentality to be what I want to be. So 10-day out email, and this is going to get real confusing. This is a little different. You can see at the bottom. We'll go over that in a second. 10-day out, you are scheduled email. That will stay the same this year. It will go out 10 days before an event at 3 p.m. sharp. I have a calendar notification alert that's going to tell me that I need to send it out at 3 p.m. every 10 days before an event to all Bank of America home property employees and long-term suite attendants or LTSAs that put a W on their availability form. At the moment, there's only one event where it will be sent 9 days before an event at 3 p.m. The why behind the 9 is because the 10-day email will fall on a Sunday. I don't want to email on a Sunday unless we have a game day on that day and it is a 10-day, then I'll send it out. But usually if we're off on a weekend, I'm not sending it on a Sunday. I want to be respectful to you all. I'm respectful to all your time. That game is the 7-16 Charlotte FC versus DC United. These times will be reflected on the 2025 event schedule and arrival time. I will send this out every single scheduling email. It'll be on availability. It'll be on the scheduled of you are scheduled. I'll always attach it on there, game day info. You can see that it has event info to the bottom left. You have email dates. You'll see a 10-day at the 3 p.m. You'll see a 4-day backup list. That's a little different. Yes. So we're not going to do a 10-day and a 10-day, and I'll go over that in a second. You have your arrival times for your position, and then gates and event start time. All right, so confirmation link. The Smartsheet confirmation link in the email will remain active for 6 days after it is sent out to those being offered to be scheduled because you have W on your availability form. 6 days, if you can do the quick math on it, 4 days, that's the backup list. So there's the confirmation that you are scheduled is going to be valid for 6 days. How you are scheduled will now be a first come, first served basis. So example, if the event day is on 3/15, which is the second game of the year, the 10-day out email will be sent on 3/5 at 3 p.m. and the link will close on 3/11 at 3 p.m. This will go for all positions. And so the first come, first served basis, what we mean by that, if we need 15 supervisors for a game, the first 15 to sign up or to confirm, not the W, the first 15 to respond to the confirmation link on the You Are Scheduled email will work. Same with P cords. If we need 8, the first 8. For runners, the first 30. For suite attendants, this is including the long-term suites and the floater suites. If there are 75 suite attendants needed, the first 75 will confirm. Who do I notify if I've changed in a couple dates? Question with that, it's easy. You can either email me and let me know if it's just a random day, or you can refill out the availability form. That link stays active all throughout the year just because we're hiring people and that's where people fill out their links. I just delete the dates as they go by that games have happened. So fill it out again, I'll adjust it. All right, so this guideline will apply to LTSAs as well. So if you do not confirm in time, you will lose your suite for that event. If you don't confirm in those 6 days, the suite will then be listed as an empty suite. And that's what we're going to call the floater suites. They're going to be called empty suites. That means there's no long-term suite attendant that is attached to that suite. So if you don't confirm within 6 days, you are not working that event. If LTSAs say I am no longer available through the link, which does happen, and that's okay, that suite will now be listed as an empty suite as well. If we have 30 empty suites available, the first 30 suite attendants that doesn't have a long-term suite to confirm will be scheduled for that event. When a position is filled, we will notify those employees that did not confirm in time that they are no longer scheduled for that event. So suite attendants will probably be one of the first ones. So if we get 30 of those suite attendants fill up, the new confirmation will ask you to put your email in there in your position. And that way we can sort it quickly. We will tell 31, 32, 33, whatever position you are after the 30 that I'm sorry, you are no longer scheduled for that event. If all positions are filled, say on day 5, day before the link is supposed to cut off, we will deactivate that link. So if you're on day 6 and you go to click on it and you're wanting to work and you see that it'll say offline or no longer active, that's because you missed the cut and all positions are filled. Now, backup list. Yes, there is still the option of being on the backup list. We don't want to take that away from you guys. We want you to still have a chance. So yes, there is a way to still sign up for an event. Do you need to email us asking to be scheduled? No. If you didn't make the cut, do not email us. You are just going to have to follow this protocol and then sign up for it. This is a newly formatted available or backup list that's going to tell you of like why you weren't scheduled. And it's one of these 5 reasons. One, you listed yourself as NA for the event, so you'll get a backup list email on the 4 days out. You were listed as available to work, but you did not confirm in time to be scheduled. So maybe you totally forgot And I hate to use that word, but maybe you forgot. Um, you have the ability to still sign up for the backup list. We won't pad it where there's 40 suite attendants on the backup list. Like, we will not do that. We will let people know that, hey, your position is filled. There's no reason for you to sign up. You have not provided us with an availability, and we don't know if you are available for this event. Right now, I think we still have 60 people that have not said any availability for the entire year. If you don't fill it out, we can't schedule you at all. You're a borrowed employee. As I went over, borrowed employees, you can't be scheduled first unless you have a preferred referred by a client. That's the only way that you can be in the building to start off. And then if you are a new employee who is currently in the onboarding process, there's a bunch of new employees in here. We've hired 62 people this year. So the hiring is going to continue. We have NFL season. There are people that have left us just because other reasons. They may have graduated school and they're leaving, family, whatever. We have some positions that we got to fill a little bit. All employees that meet any of the criteria above will receive the new formatted 4-day out backup list email. This email will have a link for you to sign up for the backup list. This will be a first come, first serve basis as well. So the earlier you sign up, the better chance you have of being scheduled. So, I mean, if there's 10 people that sign up on the backup list, it's going to go in order of how you signed up. You'll be placed in order of those positions. The backup list, just like the 10-day out email, will be sent 4 days before at 3 p.m. Same thing. I have a notification. I'll make sure I send it out exactly 3 p.m. I tried to find an in-between time for everybody. There's some people that work early. There's some people that work at night. So 3 p.m. is just kind of that middle of the road where everybody has a chance. The backup list will also be deactivated if too many people sign up. If we see that we have 60, 70 people signing up for it, we're going to deactivate it just because there's no ways people that far down will get scheduled. Someone just said, where do you go to fill out your availability? LaMarcus, I think you're in the middle of your onboarding process. So whenever you complete all of that, and if you are done with it, I know there's a bunch of you that just were hired. If you are done, there should have been a welcome email, that email that was sent to you that has the availability form. So upon completing your onboarding, you'll get that availability form. All right, so backup list rules. Same guidelines apply with signing up, means that you are to help at any capacity as needed. And this does not guarantee that you will be placed in a suite attendance. I'm gonna praise him over and over again. I did it in front of everyone. I kind of embarrassed him a little bit, but some of you and a lot of you know who Stephen Hadfield is. For those of you that don't, Stephen Hadfield is a gentleman that's been on our staff. He will talk to you about anything and everything. He's a little older. Wonderful person. He was on the backup list one game. I asked if you'd want to be a runner or dessert cart, and he said dessert cart because he likes being around people. And he pushed that heavy dessert cart around for 3 hours and had no questions about it. He is one of the hardest working people that anybody will ever meet. So if he can push around a dessert cart, so can anyone else in here. This means suite attendants can be runners or dessert cart, just went over that. Also cross-trained runners. So I cross-train, this is something that I developed last year. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to cross-train runners based on your ability and your status of maybe how long you've been here or your work ethic off of what your employees, your supervisors tell us. You have the ability to be put in suites. There's someone there. I don't think anybody's in here, but well, I had four. Actually, no, I saw Justin Richardson's in here. So he's been somebody that I've pulled him just randomly out of a pantry and said, hey, I know you were running, but I need you to go to such and such suite, grab your stuff. You're going to be the suite attendant in there. We're going to continue that program. That gives them some flexibility. When I talk about the open close list, the partner is notorious at times for just randomly opening a suite after gates open. So when that happens, I got to put someone in there. Usually that's a cross-train runner. Failure to show up after signing up for the backup list will be subjected to a no-call, no-show corrective action. We're going to hold true to this year. When you fill out the backup list, you can actually see that it says, I confirm that signing up for the backup list means I am now scheduled to work and will arrive to work at any capacity. Failure to arrive will be handled as a no call, no show. The HR training, if you haven't attended it yet, they'll tell you on Saturday. If you have attended it, they went over if you're under your 90 days, the first call, no show, you're automatically terminated. Whenever you are past 90 days, your second one, you're automatically terminated. HR is getting involved in this. We have far too often people are just not showing up. So after your second one, you're gone. All right. So new suite. Actually, let me drink water real quick. All right. New suite attendant placement format. So I talked about pick a card. No longer will I be placing suite attendants in empty suites. So the question is who will be placing us in the suite then? And it'll be you, the suite attendants. Any suite attendant that doesn't have a long-term suite will go through the suite's check-in. After saying your name, you will be allowed to choose a blue folder from the empty suite basket without looking at the suite number. So you'll have one basket that says long-term suite attendants. They'll check in with Sarah or myself. We'll give them their folder. They'll go along. The next person, if you don't have one, you are going to grab a folder out of it without looking. The back of the number or the back of the folder is going to be facing you, so you won't be able to see the number. So you're going to grab whatever folder, and that's where you're locked in. Now, this is a serious part. Once you have chosen your folder, you are linked to that suite. If you try to trade back in your folder, Brian and I are going to have a conversation with you that you may not be working here anymore. You chose the king. The king may not be tipping. The king may not be ordering. The king might be just drinking. Who knows? Maybe you chose a 2 and they're going to leave you a huge tip. I have no idea. So this is you controlling your fate on this just based off chance. Not me, not suites. This is just you. That's just for that one game. Yes. So it's not like you're selecting a long-term Ashley. So this would be every game you would come through, because if you don't have a long-term suite, you would come through whatever game you're scheduled and you confirmed in time, you would select the blue folder, and then you would just rotate each game. So you're not linked to that one suite going to the rest of the year. No. All right. So the schedule format, why? Why did we change if we have a long term, are we able to gamble some days if we want to break? No. If you have a long term, you are linked to that long term. If you are gambling it, then we need to talk about removing you from that suite. And if it's something that you want to be removed and we open this up to everybody, yeah, no, JK. But some people do want to be removed from the suite. So if you do want to become a floater, just come let us know. How do you become a long-term, and how to determine the two? Okay. So, becoming a long-term is when you're in a suite with a client and they email me or they stop management and they say, we really like this person. We want them to be our suite attendant going forward. And then we will attach your name to that on our scheduling system. Like you saw the Airtable, I have a column that shows who's where. And so if someone likes you, that's how you would get attached to that. To determine the two, you won't really know the difference of the two just because the long terms are usually, most suite attendants that it's a long term, they're in there all the time. Hold on one second, Carrie. What will happen if the suite next has no suite attendant and then come next door, ask for you help? This happens to me in a college game. I know that one. That was actually the last game of the year, I think, Kayla, right? I think that was a late open and I didn't have any more cross train to put in there. So if that happens, then you just have to help both sides. I try to build it where we have backups where we can put them in there, but I think we had 2 or 3 that last game open up and we didn't have enough to fill it. And that's just on the partner. And that was a one-off that we're allowed to be able to do that. Carrie, I'm going to allow you to speak. Unless you didn't mean to raise your hand. Okay, maybe you did. If you aren't chosen to work a suite because slots filled up quickly, are you able to work concessions? No, our operation's so big, so if you're on the backup list and there's not enough suites, that's what I was talking about. You can be a runner. So what we do is we change your pay rate to the runner pay rate, and you would become a runner for that shift. Concessions is a completely different department. So, and they have their NPO groups that run most of their locations. So, and I know some of these are new employees in here. I'm glad you guys are asking questions. But no, you would just be a suite runner. Now, if we're way overpacked with people, then there is an option to go home. I don't want that because I want everybody to make money, especially because you're already there. On your first day, where do you come in and do you clock in on the wall? So we'll go over that. There's going to be a email that comes out of how you get into the building. Do suites run out often? For MLS, we're only at 60 suites at the moment. So yes, they do. NFL, we have 160, so they don't run out as often. Also, do they have the request you to stay in the room or on the street, my suite getting traded? Oh, I I'm not gonna get into trades with players and all that stuff. But you're not attached to that room. So I think you're asking, do you get to stay in that room? No, you're attached to the client. You're not attached to the suite number. Hopefully he's not traded. I thought he did a really good job with teaching Bryce this year. So hopefully the Daltons stay. All right, moving on. Why did we change the scheduling format? Far too often, we had no idea if employees were working for the upcoming event. This allows for those that responded in a timely manner to work. This is the 1-2 mentality. If you want to make money and you want to work and you want the hours, sign up quickly and we'll get you in the door. On average, we had 26 employees per game, so I am no longer available. It was very tough for me to schedule when 26 of you would say no longer available. I can't create people and bring people in. You just can't. The backup list, I get it. Some people hate it. Some people have some scars from past history. Um, Sometimes it's bad luck. So 26 employees, that's tough to schedule. So now we're going to change it around. So I'm going to give you an example. November 1st, there was the MLS playoff match. You can actually see on the far right, you can see the timestamps of when people submit um, their confirmation. I blacked out the names. I don't need anybody to see the names, but you can see on 11/1, there were 4 people that either confirmed or said no longer available on the day of the game. So we can't schedule and work around that if on the day of the game you're calling out and confirming. So we're not going to chase you around anymore. It is now going to be up to you of how you want to be in the building. Just to give an example, and people were wondering, the first game, we have 60 suites open. Right now, I have 135 suite attendants available. So if you do the math, there's a lot of people that want to work. So the faster you can sign up, the faster you can work. Why did we change the placement format? This is based on your all's feedback. Ashley said in the chat, I love this. We were told that there was a lack of fairness. As I explained, I did not look at anything. I do not look at anything when it comes to orders and gratuities. I just don't, because I don't want to have favoritism towards anybody or unfavoritism. I don't want any of that. I want everybody to make money. So I never look at that document. So this is now a way for you to control it. This corrects all issues by playing a game of chance or pick a card. So as some of you guys seen Hunger Games, it's may the odds be ever in your favor. So if the king feels like tipping, or hunters wise, if you actually want to sign up quickly, fine. Questions? I know. Anybody else have any questions? I don't want to take this too long if we don't have to, but if anybody has anything, Carrie's raising her hand again. All right, let's try this again. Go ahead, Carrie. You have to click your mic to unmute it.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello. Okay, so what do you consider a long-term employee? Is it date of hire, or is it how long they've been in a specific suite?
So a long term is when a client requests you. That's what a long term means. I'm not
Okay.
going to scroll back up to it, but on my open close list, it had long term. That's coming
Mhm.
from the client. That's like they have a long standing suite, and then some of those suites have requested a certain person to be in there. So example, Kayla was talking about hers. She has a client that has requested her to be in there. So anytime she's available and confirms, she will be in her suite.
Right. Okay.
It's not based off of long-term status of how long an employee has been there. It's based off of the client.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right. Jay, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So you were talking about making sure that we were scheduling in advance to make sure that we could work. Where's that link so that we like know where to schedule our like sign up and schedule it?
Have you completed your entire onboarding process? Like it,
Not 100%.
okay, so once you're done with that, we'll send out that it'll be a welcome email that has the availability on there. So you'll click the link and fill it out once it's all completed. I jumped the gun and invited a bunch of you all that were still in the final pieces just so you can hear everything that we're going over.
Okay,
So
and
once
like
once you complete all that, we'll send you a welcome email.
got you. And then is the welcome email gonna have like our start day and when we can start signing up for events and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that availability form has our dates that we have open. We have 40 events for this year. NFL hasn't rolled out yet, but I think there's 30 or 31 listed on there. So you'll fill out W if you're available or NA if you're not, to the best of your ability.
Okay, thanks.
All right. And then if you need to call me tomorrow or something, just give me a call and we'll chat.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right, Elia, go ahead.
Oh, can I ask you a question uh, about the HR orientation? What's that, the HR orientation?
So, well, HR orientation for the onboarding is just what everybody has to do paperwork. If you're talking about the training that's on Saturday, they're doing their portion about their compliance rules of the building and what happens if there's a fire or anything like that. So it's a whole separate presentation than suites.
Okay.
All right.
I think I have to take the paperwork stuff. I think it's
Yes.
okay to do that. Like,
Yeah. So you'll do your paperwork, your annual paperwork for that training on Saturday.
okay. And is it like on person or is it online? Like submit.
It's virtual. It's the online link that they're sending you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah. One more person. All right, Steven, go ahead.
Hello. Hey, can you hear me?
Hi. Yep.
Okay, Aaron. I did the HR paperwork earlier this week, and I guess it was Trayvon said he would be pushing something through, and you would send me an email to set up, I guess, a in-building type training.
Yep. He sent it to me about 4 o'clock today. So I'll send that information to you
okay,
probably
good.
tomorrow. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Are the names already confirmed for the first game? No, I haven't sent out the email. It'll go out on 2/19, I believe, is the date that it'll go out at 3 p.m. And that's when you'll confirm and start working on that. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Client relationships. So I'm gonna keep using Kayla because she talked about it. We love that you have relationships with your clients, but we have to keep it professional as well. If you aren't scheduled and you have a long-term suite that you have built a relationship with, and your suite holder told you that they were coming to the next event, we can't go by your words. We have to go off of the client. We have to go off of the open close list. The reason being is there might be a standing order in there. There's special items or VIP guests. So certain suites, like our senior leaders, our VP, they have to know they're coming because they're going to stop by. So same with the standing order. Some of these suites, a player package example for NFL players, we have to put in a standing order in there. And if they told you they were coming, but then they're not coming and they didn't open it up, we're not going to put the food in there because you're talking about a $3,000 order potentially going in there. And who's going to pay for that? So we have to go off of the open close list. So it's all the partners' direction of the open close list first. If you aren't scheduled, this is super important. please do not reach out to the client asking if they're still coming. This happened a couple times this year where we have clients emailing us saying, hey, you didn't schedule my suite attendant. I purchased my tickets. But when we would call and talk to the partner, they go, no, they did not purchase their tickets. So this cannot be a communication that you have outside of the building. This goes much higher than you think with this. The partner, HR, senior leaders, they're all aware of these communications. Our VP, and they're talking about an immediate termination if something like this happens. And I can't protect you when that happens. Brian can't protect you. Raymond can't. Like if you contact someone and it causes a bad stir, there is no protecting you. When the client communicates to the partner and the partner opens the suite on that list, we will contact you directly. So example, no, and for the record, I'm not talking about Kayla. I'm just using her example because she's the one asking questions. So we will contact you. Again, I'm going to use Kayla. If Kayla's suite was closed the day before the game and she was not scheduled, she was not going to work, and they open up on game day, I will call Kayla and say, hey, this is kind of a random one-off. Are you able to work tomorrow because your suite is coming in? If she says yes, then I will add her to the schedule. If she says no, then her suite will be an empty suite. And then the backup list person will be placed in it. Employee meals for 2025. I know everybody's really excited. Last year we had a bunch of cold sandwiches and cold wraps. So based on usage and popularity, we have narrowed it down the list to these 4 sandwiches and wraps. We heard the crowd favorite was the roast beef horseradish. You have the turkey and croissant, Southwest chicken wrap, chicken salad multigrain. If anybody wants to put in the chat what their favorite one, go ahead if you want to be mad about it. I know you're not for real, Karen says. You are totally right. It is a complete joke. All right. I'm not going to hold it. In the room, it was funnier because everybody was booing and screaming, pretty much throwing stuff. It's a joke. I did a project. This was a project I did towards the end of the year. This is your new employee meal for this year. Gluten-free option, that'll be a good one. I'll have to find out about that, Mel. We do have gluten-free buns. We might have to figure something out. That's a great question that nobody has asked. So I'll look into that. So this project that I did, you have option 1, option 2. For new employees, we had those wraps. They were awful. No one liked them. We were throwing them away. They were just, no. So option 1, you have a hot dog. It's not 2 bags of chips. It's 1. You get to choose one or the other. I'm just showing the variety. And then you have a cheeseburger and waffle fries. People also asked about vegetarian requests. You'll be able to scan this on your computer, whatever. So here you go, peanut butter and jelly. So there is a vegan hot dog that is actually at 2 of the stands, and then you also can scan this and you can get a wrap. So we know some people that are going to want to change it a little bit, so we also leave this out there. The peanut butter and jelly, we might be able to visit that just because MG Foods is still available. So we'll have to look into if we can order especially just for you all, because we know exactly why. So, and we'll talk on that on the side, Jada. They are beef, but the project with this is I explained that I grew up on a farm. To me, it's pretty important not to give you all these cold, nasty sandwiches. Where I grew up on a farm, I didn't grow up with money, and there were times we didn't eat. And to me, it meant a lot to do this project because this might be some people's only hot meal for the day. And it was important for me to figure this out. And I spent a lot of time putting this together. It saves us a lot of money on our end, but it doesn't do anything for me personally. I don't get a bonus for it. I don't get anything. I didn't even really get a big thank you from anybody above me. This was just something I wanted to do for all of you. Didn't have to do it. It's just something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Yeah, you guys were seeing is a hot dog, is a sandwich, what condiments to put on a hot dog or on a cheeseburger, waffle fries or chips. That was me definitely playing with you guys at the end of the year. I was working through that project. So that was my thing to you guys, because I do appreciate all of you. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And we'll adjust on how we need with some of the gluten-free options and the vegan options. Can you bring your own food? Yes, you can. You can bring that in. Just make sure it's wrapped correctly. I don't think they really stop you from bringing food in. All right. So how do we get our employee meal? So this is going to be very crucial for you all to understand how you get it. A single-use voucher will be provided to you during the suites check-in for your respective positions. This will not come from the Levy check-in at Northgate. So when you come in and you see HR, don't ask for your voucher. They won't have it. And this is what the voucher looks like. You can see hot dog and chips, $3.14. It has a V beside of it, so that'll be the vegan stand. You have $3.25, $3.35, $3.42, and then another vegan stand. The burger and fries, $3.18 and $3.46. So this will always be on the voucher you get every single game, so you know where you're going. And then this must be redeemed 90 to 30 minutes prior to gates. And you must clock out. Now, 90 to 30 minutes, I'm going to go into details of how that works because we're going to have to break this up a little bit. So how do I get my voucher? Supervisors, you'll get it in your green binder. Suite and club attendants, you'll get it in your blue folder. P-cords, you'll get it in your red binder. Runners, dessert cart runners, and anyone on the backup list will receive a voucher at check-in. Sarah, myself, or even Brooklyn will have a stack of these. You only get one, but we will hand those out to you there. And then anyone not placed in a zone, like a Global P-cord or Kitchen Expo, they'll get a voucher from management and just ask us from our offices and we'll get it to you. So important info for employee meal. This voucher, it will change each event with a different logo and the date that's being worked. You can only use this at this event's voucher. So don't try to copy it. Don't think it's not going to change. We are going to change it every game. Some big pieces to this. When I did this project, I had to start with concessions. They agreed to partner with us. This is not suites. This is not our culinary team. This is the concessions department that is allowing us to do this. The operation will be handled by the MPO groups at the 6 separate locations on the 300 level. So yes, like 400 level, I get like some people might be like, well, what do we do? I'll go over that in a second. The MPO groups will be enforcing the rules provided by the concessions department. Be nice. And I'm saying be nice because these like MPO groups, they're volunteers. They're not Levy staff. They're not management. They're volunteers. They're here for their baseball team, their church group, their band, like ROTC. They're here to help provide an opportunity to give money to their own program so they can buy certain items for their school. So be nice to these people. This is a privilege. This is not a right. This comes from concessions. This comes from me. This comes from Brian. We are not going to allow anybody to be rude and continue to get food. So if you're rude and go down there and cause a stir because maybe you're trying to get 2 or 3 items at one time, they're going to report that back to us. I don't want to give 199 of these out when I have 200 employees staffed, but I will because we have to be strict on this. Not being nice and not following the rules is the fastest way for all of us to lose this privilege. So please be nice. So 1 item per person, must have the logo, and no modifications to the combos. What I mean by that, you can't have a cheeseburger and get chips. You can't have a hot dog and get waffle fries. It's the combos together of the cheeseburger and fries, and then the hot dog and the chips. Now, question, can I get a hamburger? Yes, you can. They will modify that for you. Can I get the Cape Cod kettle chips? No, it's only the barbecue or the traditional Lay's. And again, Mel, I'll look into the gluten-free option. Suite guidelines. So you must clock out for your meal break upon getting your employee meal. Not before, not after you get back to your suite. When you get in line, if you use the ESS app, you are to start your clock when you grab your meal. If you are using the wallet code, as soon as you grab it, you go to the nearest pantry, you go to the kitchen, wherever the closest area to you, you are to clock out and start your meal break. I would just meet people in your zone and sit down in the concessions area. I would get a bottle of water and go down there. Failure to comply with the guidelines and polite behavior could cost you meal privileges. Just like I said, I don't want to take that away from anyone. Please don't do that. What time can we go to get your food? So these are some very important pieces when it comes to volume. Due to how large our operation is, clubs only has like 20 or 30 people, catering has like 10. We have 300 on some games. We have to break up our meal break time frames into the third and fourth floor. So example, fourth floor will be scheduled to take a break from 60 to 90 minutes before the game. I will put this on the game day info each week. The day before the game, I will send out the game day info and it will tell you fourth floor is 60 to 90 minutes, and I'll put what time frame that is. So example, if gates are at 5, your fourth floor will take a break from 3:30 to 4. That's 90 minutes to 60 minutes away. Third floor, you are to go from 30 to 60 minutes before gates. This breaks it up to, example, it might be 120 each floor. It breaks it up a little bit between the 6 stands. So third floor, 5 p.m., you will take a break from 4 to 4:30. I know always put it in the email of what time you're taking your break and what time supervisor huddles are. Supervisor huddles will now be demanded and required to be in the exact time frame of what we put on that email because of this new system. We can't go away from this system. Hold on, I know someone's raising a hand. I'll come to you in a second. We have to stick to this because of the concessions volume. So the reason what I mean about concessions volume, for one, they rotate the product out. So the cheeseburger example, when you go to the cheeseburger stands, they're not cheeseburgers throughout the game, they're smash burgers. So they have to change their entire product around for you to get these items. So if you don't get a meal in the provided time frame, you won't receive a meal for that game. We don't have backup items. You can't go after gates open. You have to go during that time, just because they change out that product. And I'll get to you in a second, Patty. So this is going to be in every folder, blue folder. This is going to be placed in the pantries. This is going to be in your binders. So this map is for the third floor, and it shows what zones you're in and where you should go. I get you want to kind of go and maybe be around someone that you might know that you rode to work with. That's fine. But these are the areas you are going to be guided to go towards. The V in there tells you the location of the vegan hot dog as well. Fourth floor, it's just the same map. It's just showing the 300 level, the locations. Use the elevator, use the stairs that's right there. Stick to your zones. And hold on, guys. I'll get to it in a second. What types of drinks are allowed? Water. We broke away from this last year. We have to get back to it. I know people were drinking sodas, teas. No, we have to drink water. Hydration reasons and then just cost reasons. The only thing we'll provide to you is water. We are always going to stock the locations with the water with the in your pantries and your zones with the Dasani bottled water. That's the only thing you can drink. Can I drink from the fridge in my suite? This is a question that comes up often. No, that's for the clients. We have a client that takes a picture of his cooler every time he leaves. And he only has 6 waters and 6 Sprites in it most of the time. And if it's missing one, he calls me or Brian and asks why somebody was in his suite drinking his product. Could have been a Johnson group. It could have been a security person. It could have been the suite attendant. It could have been us. I don't know. But he takes a picture every game. So only drink the water that's in the pantries. Am I allowed to drink an NA beverage, Coke from the pantry? No. You also can't drink any of our beer or wine. Please just keep it to water only. Now this is the other piece that can eliminate this entire process. Concessions is doing, so you can't have a fountain drink from concessions for one, but concessions is doing something for the third floor ticket holders that there's gonna be a 16-ounce Coke paper cup that are not for employees. These are for the guest only. So when you go up to these stands to get your food, don't take one of these cups. That was the other piece. They said if you're rude or if you do this is the fastest way for us to lose our privilege as an entire department. All right, so Q&A. Patty, I know you had your hand raised. All right, you should be able to talk now, so go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Aaron. So the soccer suites up on the 400, I saw what time your lunch was at. The problem is the family members come in with their husbands, the players, and they
Correct.
come straight up to the suite like a couple hours earlier. Is that
Correct.
okay
So
if I,
you guys will be the one-off area. So Mary and Brandy are typically in your area. We'll probably work on something for them to go down and get it for you. Just
oh,
because we know
okay.
the player suites, there's the three, you, Janet, and Whitney,
Uh-huh.
that they show up 30 minutes ahead of time. So we'll probably have to break it up a little bit for you all.
Yeah, because the wives, they show up like an hour, a couple hours, I mean, they're
Correct.
there. Okay,
Correct.
that's okay.
So we'll have to try to figure that out a little bit.
Okay.
That's going to be the toughest one, but we're have to play with that a little bit. And sorry guys
Okay.
if my dog's barking in the background.
All right.
Today's his gotcha day, by the way. It's 4 years. But yeah, that we'll have to work on that plan. And me, you, Janet, and Whitney, we'll all sit down and talk about it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'll go to the chat. And this was easier than getting family style meals from the kitchen. Yeah. During MLS, Karen, it would probably be okay. That was on the table, but what came about was NFL. There's just way too much volume for our kitchen to be doing all of that. So this was the next best opportunity. We're gonna try this, see how it goes. I initially wanted to do family style, but then concessions is where it landed just because of the volume piece. When we did this meeting, we met with the head chefs on it as well, and we asked them that, and they were afraid of the volume piece. Let's see. Would there be a grace period for check-in on game day for suites are passed to someone on the backup list? Will there be a grace period for check-in on game day for suites are passed? What do you mean? Are you talking about the meal break, Yolanda? Actually, yeah, you're raising your hand. All right, you should be able to now.
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, I know on check-in day, let's say that we have to be there by 8:30.
Yeah.
And I know before there was like a cutoff time where we had to be there like by 8:45 before our suites were passed to someone on the backup list. Does that still stand?
Yeah, the backup list is
Okay.
still going to be there. So anyone that signs up for the backup list is still going to be in that same structure. NFL, we're going to do 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and then MLS will still do the half hour. So the backup list will still remain. If somebody confirmed working and they don't show up, then the backup list will be whoever's at the top will get their suite.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Second, what is the correct or right dress code? We'll go over that. We'll go over that in uniform when you get your welcome packet. So, but it's just black pants. We have a shirt that we provide to you, and then black slip resistant shoes. How will this be related to the temps so that we won't lose out? What do you mean the temps? You talking about the volunteers, Jada? I don't know if you want to raise your hand or I can. Yeah, because you have to raise your hand for you to talk. I don't know if that's what you're meaning. They have their area and it's the runners and so forth. You're talking about them going and getting a meal break. If you're talking about them going to get a meal break as well, like they're in that same time frame. Yeah. So they're in that same exact time frame. That's why we're building it that way. So they're allowed to go in that same hour, and that's why a lot of times you would lose your runners during that hour because they only had that hour to go get their meal. So now we're added to it. So whatever zone they're in, and I'll talk with right now. It's only the one group. I'll talk with them that hey, when they're here, fourth floor is going at this time, so they can't go with the rest of the group. They're going to go when their zone goes. So good question. Are we allowed to bring our own beverage into the stadium? Yes. I don't think that's changed. It's just got to be with a lid on it. But yeah, you're allowed to bring in your own beverage as long as it's not alcohol. I know I don't have to tell you that, but some people I need to make sure. I'm saying we need to make them aware of the meal rules so they don't mess us up. Well, going, yeah, I mean, the MPOs, I mean, for sure. I mean, they'll know. One of the groups is the three Cs. They're actually running two of the stands, I think. So there'll be no problem with them because if they're having a problem with them, it's actually their own group that they're yelling at. So can you go over the process of dumping over leftovers? Some say we take untouched back to the kitchen. So if it's untouched and then in a hot box, and it was a backup item, it should have been put out in the suite regardless, just because they paid for that. So it's supposed to either be in the suite. If it's untouched, like a mac and cheese that still has the wrap on it and everything, that does go back to the kitchen. The reason being is our culinary team has worked out a thing to feed to help with feeding Charlotte. So any leftover food that is within regulation, we provide that to areas that need food around the city. So and we can, if you need to talk more on that, we can talk more on it later. All right, next one. Beverage inventory and restock. This is Raymond's ordeal. I don't think Raymond's on the call anymore. So I'm just going to keep destroying my voice like I did all throughout last week. Why is it so important to get the beverage inventory counted correctly? It keeps track of paid product from the guest. This is really important just so they know exactly what they're being charged and we're not overcharging them or undercharging them. Movement for MLS and NFL to concerts or other events. Some of the new people don't know, but these long-term suites that we're talking about, certain concerts, the stage is blocking part of the stadium. So if there's any suites that are on that side of the blocked stage, we have to bring them over to wherever they purchase their suite. So keeping track of the inventory is super important so we know exactly what to pull out of the cooler and bring it to the proper suite. What is a par? So preseason beverage order made by the client at the start of the season. So they might ask for 6 Cokes, a bottle of Tito's, and 6 Michelob Ultras or something. That's what they want every single game. That's a par. And I'll show you that in a second, but that was what they ordered with Cassidy, who is at our corporate office, on exactly what they want each game. Can a suite attendant, or can a suite, sorry, not a suite attendant, can a suite change or add to an existing par? Yes, the only the suite host can update that and change their par during the season. The guest would need to contact Cassidy via email or anyone on the management team. Now, if you see somebody, because there are a couple suites that we found during our suite walks and the way Essence and Donna and our team has been clearing off the suites, that we would find a suite would have 28 Cokes and they were only supposed to have 6 on their par, but they keep the par going. So if you ever see something that is like overdue, and I think there's one that had 6 Hendricks, you can make note of that. Like, hey, I have 6 Hendricks in here. We should let the client know they don't need to keep buying a Hendricks for a little bit, just because it's just piling up in the cabinet. With this beverage restock, we also want to count everything, and that includes the closets, which we are going to eliminate putting stuff in the closets unless yours inventory is insane. And then we need to talk with the client about it. What beverages need to have a label? All liquor bottles need to have a label on it with the date and the suite number. And that's because of the moves. When we move stuff from MLS or concerts, we need to know exactly what liquor bottle we're bringing to each suite. We pull it all out. We'll put it in one of our locations if they're not there, but then we have to put it back in. So as long as it's labeled, we know. These are the labels that you're going to have. Suite attendants help out supervisors. Supervisors help out P cords. Everybody is a team on this one. MLS, it is a purple label. NFL, it is a blue label, and then all the others are neon labels. So if you're a suite attendant and you get a bottle that doesn't have a label, tell the runner, I need a purple label or whatever it is, and we need to mark that. I'll get to your questions in a second. What if I do not receive an inventory sheet and or have beverage issues? Notify your front of house supervisor as soon as possible and they will get you one. And I think we put them in all of the binders for the supervisor. So it should be one you should be able to get pretty quickly. Any beverage issue should be communicated directly to your front of house supervisor, and we will then contact Dan, or they will contact Donna, just because she has this big binder that has everything throughout the last like 20 games or something. What do we do with empty liquor bottles? This is going to be something that changed. We started to do it at the end of the year, but we're going to have to be strict on it now. First, you need to mark off the ABC sticker on there. You can do it with a pen or a wine key or whatever. Scratch it off, mark through it. That has to happen. I think that's a North Carolina state law thing. And then place all your empty liquor bottles on top of the counters above the trash cans. Do not throw any of those bottles in the trash. That's something that has been changed from last year, because when we're bringing all the trash downstairs and somebody doesn't know there's a broken bottle in there, the last thing you want to do is try to lift up a heavy bag and throw it in those big trash bins downstairs. So we're going to leave them on the counter. The runners and supervisors are going to help take those from during the game. If there's empty bottles, take those back. We'll put those in bus tubs or something, or a trash can, and keep track of that. At the end of the game, they should all be up there if they're empty. I would keep some lids as you open things, just so we're not getting fruit flies or anything, sanitation wise. If anybody opens a bottle of wine and has one glass, you're going to have to pour it out, because that thing's not going to last till the next game. Nobody wants an old red wine that's 14 days old. So they open it, we got to pour it out. If there's an issue, let Brian and I or Raymond talk to the client and let them know that that's our standard. We can't keep wine for 2 or 3 weeks for people. What happens to the liquor bottles after the game if a runner's not coming around and get it? Our setup team is going to come through on Monday or Tuesday and grab those from your suites, and we will take care of them, throw them away. Beverage inventory versus beverage restock. This is for suite attendants and club attendants, but runners pay attention, supervisors pay attention as well. So this is what a beverage inventory sheet looks like. You can see the client name on there, the suite number, the date and event. There's a suite attendant and supervisor signature area. It says do not restock on it. This is simply just counting the information that's in there, the beverage item, and then also the starting and ending. We always have to do a starting and ending, but there's no restock with it. It's just counting to make sure we know what's in there. This is a beverage restock sheet. So this is what it looks like when it has a par in the middle, and it's highlighted in yellow. So you would do your starting. If there's 6 in there, great. Ending, if there's 6, great. There's nothing you have to do. But then there's a restock process with it. But this is the par that should be in there. So when you come in and you don't have these numbers, we need to make sure we get those in there, because this is what was prepaid by the client. What do they have in common? Everything in the suite needs to be written down. Again, this includes the closet that we're going to eliminate, but if you see stuff in a closet, we need to count everything in there. If you see stuff in a cabinet, you need to count everything in there. Everything has to be counted. Does wine bottles go on the counter? Yes. So wine bottles too will go on the counter. If it's been opened and poured out, then yes, it goes on the counter. All right, now it's going to get a little small font, just because it's kind of how it worked out. But far left is a beverage inventory of it being done, everything counted. If you don't have enough lines, just keep adding it. Some of these suites have tons of product in it, so just keep adding it. The middle, you have your beverage restock. And again, it's saying it has to have a starting and ending, just like everything. But you're getting your suite back to par. You can see that you restocked it. That means it's charged. You have the chip paper to the right that needs to be stapled at the end of checkout so we can make sure it was charged. You can see the circled and highlighted one. That means that they didn't have I don't know if you can read it, but a Zing Zang Bloody Mary mix in the pantry. That means our setup team will replace that in there throughout the week if it's circled and highlighted, but it needs to be charged first. And then the last one, it's kind of it was the end of the year, so we didn't restock anything at the end, but this just goes to show, like the Coca-Cola 43, and then there's 37. We're only supposed to have a 6. So if you see anything, make note of that. That way we can figure out if we need to contact a client and reduce what's in there for a little bit. But also the signature of the supervisor is super important. We're going to be really strict on that this year. If you come upstairs and you don't have a signature, we're going to tell you to go right back down to your zone. And if you're in zone 3 or 4 on the opposite side, I'm sorry, or zone 8, you're going to have to walk. You're going to have to go find your supervisor. Q&A. Anybody have any questions? I think some people fired off. Brian answered some. no one has any questions, we'll keep moving along so you guys can get back to your Thursday. Awesome. All right, allergen page. The culinary team created this. We had what are we doing regarding beverage pantries? Restocking wise, I believe we landed on restocking throughout the week. I don't think you're restocking on game day. I'll still only one. What do you mean by still only one, Karen? I mean, everything comes out of Pantry 9. I mean, that, like, if you need certain product to kind of make sure you have stuff at the end of the game, yes, Pantry 9's where everything's at. We talked about doing another one on the 4th floor. We're still playing with that idea, but right now we're still keeping it in 9. We might do a second one on the 4th level, but we'll talk about that in the upcoming weeks and see if we want to play with that. The culinary team put together this allergen list for our menu. This was pretty important to us because we felt bad throughout the season when somebody would ask, like, we don't know what's in everything. Like, we don't make the food. So, I mean, you should kind of know, but sometimes you just can't tell. So we would always have to play the telephone game, essentially. Like, suite attendant would ask if there's an allergy, or a runner would ask if there's an allergy, and it would go to the supervisor to manager, and then manager to the culinary team. Who knows who's busy along the way? And sometimes it would take an hour for it to get back of, can you eat chicken wings or something because of an allergy? So we shortened it. The culinary team is going to update this. They built this. You can see it has gluten, dairy, soy, egg, nuts, shellfish, vegetarian, vegan, and pork. It'll tell you, and this is just the cold apps and warm apps. We have it for everyone. I think there's 5 total pages. Then it has notes to the side if it needs to be. And then each page is going to have the top row, so you don't have to scroll to the top and maybe miss it or whatever. It should be there, or it will be there, just so you can see all these differences. If there's any changes to the menu, our culinary team will change this document. This is in every single supervisor and P cord binder, and then also in your suite folders. So you should have this right in front of you, right off the rip. If it ever gets damaged, just let us know. We'll replace it. Just went through all that. If there is something random that isn't listed, just get a supervisor and manager involved. We'll have to do the telephone game, but hopefully nothing crazy on there. But we'll reach out to culinary as soon as we can. Uniforms, and we're getting close. All right, uniforms improved a lot throughout the year, but we still have a lot of room to grow. This is non-negotiable, and we had to keep going. We would go around asking people to do it. You must have your shirt tucked in. This is going to be a requirement. It got really crazy at the end. We kept having to remind the same people over and over again. So that has to happen. I'll answer your question in a second, Ashley. No hats. Exceptions to these guidelines may require additional documentation or reviewed by human resources. Reasonable accommodations will be considered for religious and disability reasons. We know on our staff the ones that are already in that realm, so that'll be approved. It's just anybody that's just randomly wearing a hat or a beanie or a toboggan is what I call it from where I'm from, which doesn't make sense because it's a sled in a lot of areas, but no hats. Name tags must be worn. And then what if I don't have a name tag? Because I know at the second half of the year, we went back and forth to trying to get an actual label maker. We have one now. Sarah's been printing a bunch of them. So same thing. I'm going to leave this up for a second. Scan it if you're on a computer. And then if not, you can scan it on the PDF afterwards. And I'll answer the question why people are scanning this. So Ashley, you asked, can we used to have the channel guides in our folders. Is there a way to get that back? So no. The reason being is it keeps changing. So we wait until our senior leaders meet with the building, and it's an ops notes is what it's called. It's an ops meeting, and they give us that information. So we're waiting on our senior leaders, but they're waiting on the building. And when they send it down, we send it out to you all. So sometimes it's on game day, sometimes it's 2 days before. So printing it and putting it in all those folders, we can't do that because it changes all the time. So we'll just continue to use the WhatsApp. Can we put the games in the WhatsApp chat? Well, that's what you're meaning, right? I think that's what you're meaning. because it should have the games listed on there. All right, moving to the next one. So cold weather options, and these prices may vary, and you do not have to buy these. So please understand that this is not a requirement for you to buy. At the end, cold weather, we got a little sloppy, and we understand the suites are open and you want to look nice, but we start people having with pink coats and white coats and fur and all sorts of crazy stuff. And we're giving you this option that you can purchase these. And this link, when I send it out, this link will go straight to Amazon. The prices might vary, go up and down. But you'll be able to choose, and I'm just going to scroll through quickly, but there's a jacket, there's a long sleeve quarter zip, there's a vest. That's for the women, and you also have it for the men as well. So select it. If you have something that is similar to this already, just send it to us, and we will approve it or not approve it based off of this. But this is a guideline of what you can use. So please follow this. And the reason why I'm saying please follow this, the option that they're giving us if we don't comply is you have to put your grade shirt over top of a jacket, and it looks like you're training a guard dog for the police and they're trying to attack you basically. So I actually tried it on to walk around the stadium. It is not very fun. So please follow these guidelines. We want you all to be comfortable in your suites or even walking around if the games are in the 30s and 40s. Who do we send your jacket to? Just, you can send it to me. You can take a picture of it on game day. If you want to take the chance, we'll approve it in live action. But if you want to send it to me and it matches anything like this, I'll be happy to say yes or no to it. Buddy system, and we're right at the end. So buddy system, this kind of came about as an idea I wanted to do last year, and I kind of want to circle back with it. But we've heard a lot of you don't actually know each other, and some people have been here for 10 years and they don't know the other person that's been here for 10 years. So we're just going to change that a little bit. But it also has a piece to it that I think would be good, because honestly, right now, like, people could use friends. There's stuff going around this world that sometimes you just want to ask a question. You just want to get to know somebody. You never know. Your kids might go to the same schools, or you might have aligned with the same music or whatever. Like, it's a good chance for you to get to know somebody. I'm really big on that. I'm really big on culture. I used to coach college football, and that's a huge thing that we always wanted to match people up, that we actually would specifically put players' lockers side by side of someone that they didn't grow up in the same area, ethnic background, whatever it is, nationality. Like, we wanted to switch it up a little bit, so you get to learn somebody, learn something new. Yeah, don't be Kayla's friend. She's just a quarterback on the 4th floor during games. But we're implementing this buddy system. It goes for suite attendants, but do it for runners, do it for supervisors. When you go on your meal breaks, go sit down there in the concessions area and get to know somebody. But the main task of it is, like, for the suite attendants, it's going to be your direct neighboring suite attendant as your buddy. And we want to do this so you can share products with each other, paper products, not alcohol or beverages, just because it's purchased. And then watch over your suite if you need to use the restroom or simply developing a new friend, like I just talked about. Sometimes you got to take a quick break for something. So help someone to your left or right. Now, if there's 3 of you that are grouped together and there's no suites in either direction by 4 or 5 suites, the 3 of you can just be buddied up. Just help each other out. Don't just say, this is my suite. I'm not talking to anyone that's here. I don't want to get to know anybody. Like, we're all supposed to be a team. And we say it all the time. I'm not going to do the family thing. I was at a school that had that. I'm not going to do that, but it's a team. We're all to work together on everything. And I just went over the 3 suites. So the Real Talk closeout, I don't know if Brian wants to chime in. I think Brian's still on here because he was answering stuff, but there's a lot of information just came out. There's a lot of changes that came out. But I wanted you all to get a chance to see us and the why we do things. Because sometimes you guys might see us as just people running around being busy, and I hear I don't smile enough. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's 250 of you, and sometimes the half of you, when I talk to you, it's not how was your day. It's I got to talk to you about an issue, and it can be pretty exhausting at times. So maybe I'm not smiling as much, and I'll try to do that this year. But we all want you to make money. We all want you to be part of this team. We all want you to be able to take vacations and do things. That's just something that's important to us, because outside of this building and something it is important, all these rules and stuff. And Brian knows I feel this way, but a job is a job. But we all have families. We all have things to do and stuff that makes us go. So it's just a real life thing that, sometimes we got to follow rules that are implemented by a company, and it is what it is. But that's my little TED talk. That's my whole presentation on everything. Again, I don't know if Brian wants to chime in. My voice is dying. I see a couple things. Maybe I can answer a couple more questions if anyone wants to stay on and ask. This was only an hour and 45 minutes, which was 45 minutes quicker than the in-person. So everyone else, you're good to jump off. Appreciate you being on here and taking the time. I know it's not very fun to do this on a Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, but appreciate you all being here. Stay on for any questions. I already got some people raising hands, so you should be able to talk now, Risa. Just click the button, the mute button. It's the microphone.
Okay, now you hear
There you
me?
go. Yep.
Okay. Are we still allowed to wear the black cardigans?
I've
Sweaters.
seen yours. You're good.
Okay.
It's more cleaning up how crazy it got. Like I really mean, like some people were wearing some crazy jackets at the end. So
Yeah, I saw
yours is
some.
good. I
Okay.
know which one yours is. Yours is good. Same with, I know somebody wears an actual blazer, and they're good to stay with theirs.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, thank you.
Yep. Can we keep small stuff on staff? Can we keep like batteries? I think Brian maybe have answered this. So batteries comes from the stadium. That's not us. I don't know if you guys know, we can't eat batteries, so that's not food and beverage. Can we come with coloring books for the kids? And maybe you. Yes, you actually can bring stuff for your clients if you'd like. There's some people that will actually decorate their entire suite for a birthday. So you are more than welcome. You just kind of have to let us know ahead of time that you're not showing up with a bag because they may not let you in the stadium. All right, we need chargers to work too. That's the building, the chargers and stuff. That's not anything we can control. Ashley, I'm going to give you approval to talk. You just have to unmute it.
Okay, no, that was my question about the the iPhone chargers, the Android chargers that we can. It says Carolina Panthers, but I guess I don't know if we can send an email or whatever because we have them in the suites. They just don't work. So
Yeah, I mean, we can try to figure out something on that, but really it's the stadium also. It's not us. We don't even have those in our building, like or in our Levy offices. Um, I don't even know who to contact. I don't know if you can call 7788 and ask, but I know that comes from the partner and from the stadium. That doesn't come from us. I know some were broken at the end, but that's primarily on them. I mean, it's good to be looking out for the guests in there. I appreciate you doing that. Jay says my mic is disabled. I think you have to raise your hand again because I'd have to find you. Oh wait, you might be at the top. Oh, I see you. If you got a question, you can go ahead, Jay. And then Yolanda, yes, Sarah's been on here the whole time checking attendance. So everybody that's on here got marked as here.
Okay, yes, can I speak? This
Yep.
is Jane.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to know after I finish my onboarding, I should be able to see like the next steps with like the scheduling and like events that's going on. Because I haven't had any access to any of that stuff.
So have you finished your onboarding?
No, you told me I can call you tomorrow if I had any more questions.
Yeah, so once you finish that, that's how you get access to how to clock in and our availability form. The reason why we don't send out that out to people is, I mean, I'll hire 100 people and sometimes only 50 will finish the actual process. So I don't send it out to people ahead of time. So to make sure that, just to make sure that I'm not giving it to someone who's not an employee, basically. So once you're all good and done, HR will send me the approval that you're completed all items, and I'll send you that welcome email, and that'll have the availability form.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Awesome. I don't know if anybody else has any more questions. I think I answered all in the chat. All right. If not, or if you guys do have any additional, just email me. I'm going to send this out tomorrow so everybody has this entire presentation. So you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.